The Tattered Mantle. I've heard so many stories of this tavern. Always rowdy.
The Undergreen. This is where the seediest of deals were done.
Lower Denevron was hit hard by the surge too.
Perhaps even harder. It looks as though it's been ripped apart.
Market was famous across the Maida. Caravans left the Enclave with enchanted treasures.
Broker's Arch, the market.
Same spot as the last statue. Struck a vein, as my dad used to say.
Wait, I was half listening. Are you hurt?
Metaphor. Her dad was a miner.
We've got a tally sheet of some sort. Series of numbers below. And a bunch of garbled text below that. I have no idea what I'm looking at.
I might.
dead body and a hidden cache of materials. It sounds like the start of a Skuld's tale.
All we need is a saber conveniently placed on the mantle and we're set.
More seriously, you said you had an idea about that sheet?
Remember that I used to work the trade lanes?
I do.
The dockers always wanted big loads for the cranes. But certain things, like, say, herbs, you'd only ship in small quantities. Over the years, the convoys developed a system where you'd have runners and haulers. Runners would make quick trips and bring small goods to a drop. Haulers would pack the cargo together and make longer hauls to the docks.
You think we're looking at a similar system, then?
Absolutely I do. It's the sheet you found. That's a requisition for a runner if I've ever seen one. And note how it says Scout Group 23 here. That's a lot of groups.
Which means my mysterious observer is part of a large organization.
And an active one.
When you say requisition...
Think of it like an order. Bread, cheese, carrots. But left at the drop for the runner to prioritize before the next gather. It takes forethought. There's necessary lag between the order going out and being filled. But any logistician worth their salt can see a few months ahead and plan accordingly.
How can you be sure the Enclave folks would use similar methods to yours?
It's centuries old. And you don't fix what wasn't broken. Especially in a crisis. And from the state of the capital, they were definitely in crisis.
Do the items they're asking for seem important?
No, I don't think so. Lane thinks the garble at the bottom might be, but not the order itself. They're prioritizing fabricated items over raw goods.
What would that indicate?
At a guess, our Hearthsiders have lost, or were expecting to lose, production capacity and wanted backup parts.
Kaz, I have to ask, how does it feel having this specific piece of information at hand right when we need it?
Why?
Because if we suddenly needed to know about Calnhaven or export quotas, I would feel pretty special.
How is that a thing you know exactly?
Dad was a miner, a really good one.
Promise you won't tell the others?
I can manage that.
Then yes. Yes, it feels amazing.
What do we do with this information then?
At the bottom of the sheet, there's that series of numbers and letters. Those would represent drop points. I did some digging with Lane, and they're referring to coordinates on a map of the Enclave that was made just before the surge. L7 is part of the capital, see? That's where you found this drop. So, I'm inferring that these other marked coordinates are just as likely to have drops.
I'll check them then.
If nothing else, we could find materials for our own stocks. But I'm hoping there's more.
Maybe where our Hearthsiders are hiding.
Also, Lane was looking over the orders and wanted to talk to you about the writing along the bottom.
More drops, and talk to Lane. Got it. You wanted to talk about the supply orders?
Indeed. It's about the gibberish along the bottom. Notice how the writing is in a different hand.
Yes, I can see that.
We're looking at a cipher. Someone sharing encoded notes.
Can you give me a quick rundown on encoding, so I'm sure I'm following?
A favorite topic of mine? Cipher is a blanket term for securing text so that only an intended recipient can read it. They range from reasonably simple swaps of letters to complex changes that require devices or key sheets to solve. But, as notes quickly added to supply orders, the codes we are dealing with were simple by necessity.
What's your background with ciphers, Lane?
There's something of a hobby for me. Specifically, breaking them.
A fan of knowing secrets?
More a fan of information being shared freely. But also, yes, Udean nobility relies on them heavily, and being privy to the dirty laundry of the nobles is advantageous.
You're sure we're dealing with a code and not just doodles?
While possible, it's not likely that someone would scrawl nonsense on the bottom of official orders. Why do so? To practice calligraphy? To refine their writing? Perhaps. But this is decidedly not calligraphy. Ergo, cipher.
Any initial guesses as to what the cipher says?
Hard to say exactly, but we can rule out any theories that these are tied to our mysterious Lucia. The writing's wrong, the cipher is different, the circumstances don't match. What we know is these orders were for Scout Group 23, so let's assume there is an organized group of Hearthsiders arranging these drops. At a guess, this was an unofficial channel of information passed to those in the field.
Information that would be invaluable to us.
Agreed. Why encode text if it's not significant?
Sounds like we have a cipher to break. I'll keep hitting dead drops.
Any code is easier to break with more samples. You can work on it like any other research project.
Hey, Bryn. Sorry I got carried away with our errands.
It's okay, Kaz. What was going on with that, though? Are you alright?
Yeah. Sometimes there's so much to do, it's hard to keep my head on straight.
Maybe you should take a day to relax. Our ongoing disaster isn't going anywhere.
I don't know how anyone relaxes in here. What about you?
Me?
Yeah. What do you do to relax?
You know, the forest around the camp is actually pretty nice. When I need to clear my head, I just take a short walk. The sound of rushing water from the brook is lovely. It always brings me peace.
The growl of a calla stalking you in those treks doesn't pull you out of meditation?
Nah, it comes with the territory.
I'll stick to the campsite.
When all else fails, a nap always helps too.
For Ashar, maybe. As a Kashar, I don't need as much sleep as the rest of you.
Sure, but you need some kind of break from time to time, Kasmin.
I'll think about it. Warm blankets, firewood, matches.
I keep thinking about that dead body you found.
Me too. It's hard to forget.
Aside from the obvious, what bothers me most is they didn't have a scry to rescue them. If the Hearthsiders have fallen so far as to have lost that capability, it's troubling. After the surge, no one was even sure that anyone inside the Vale survived. Yet, Clearly, they've been here in dire straits this entire time. Why didn't they lower the veil to seek help? Surely a few broken arcs isn't what stopped them.
These weavers had to make choices for their own survival since the Surge. And they succeeded. Whatever their reasons are for keeping the veil active, we shouldn't judge them too harshly for it.
I agree completely. Still... Never mind. It's silly.
Can't help but wonder what life might have been like if they'd lowered the veil.
Not just for them, but for all of us. No matter who you were or where you came from, the Enclave could be your home. After the Surge, Weavers didn't just lose the Enclave. We were outcasts in every nation. Not that I need to tell you that. You sacrificed a lot to become a Weaver. The Veil served as a constant reminder that magic was the source of all the world's problems. A convenient scapegoat for every failed leader. And Weavers were an acceptable casualty. And the Hearthsiders just left it there.
So we need to find out why.
It's quite a thing, being rescued by the Scry.
Disorienting. But better than the alternative.
I'll only ever use it when I'm sure it's needed.
How exactly does it operate?
Similar to a loom gate, but much more focused. I maintain a constant flow of magic into the Scry, and it connects to you.
Letting you see the area around me.
In an emergency, I can... I guess yank is the best term, on that connection.
How come you never hear about scries being used by military? Or to bring nobles home after a night of debauchery?
Rarity and expertise. Scries are Enclave enchantments, and when the Veil closed, supplies ceased. On top of that, it takes someone with exceptional control and stamina when channeling magic to use one for any length of time.
Got it. That's why points become watchers. It's really nice, having the sensation of you and the others watching over me. You're like the guardian spirits from the stories every Carnhaven child knows. You protect, advise, and of course bicker.
Well, I don't know about spirits, but we'll be your guardians any day.
Compared to my last band, I'm glad we actually use the scry.
Just don't take it as a license to be reckless. Risky business flirting with death.
should be a drop somewhere around here. Another notice. Drops must be completed and all runners to safety before the next predicted flood.
This confirms they have a way to predict the floods, and some way to stay safe.
Let's stay focused on our runners for now.
distant gardens. It was a must-see for visiting caravans.
Weavers and foreign dignitaries alike. The gardens were a pleasant backdrop to the trade negotiations that took place in Upper Denevron. Religious beliefs from across the Maida were practiced in the Enclave. But the Church of the Hallowed Pyre values monuments. They regularly erect temples and shrines.
To better spread their influence.
Why else would a religion invest in property?
This temple has seen better days.
The high pyre remains intact, though, built to last.
Should be a drop somewhere around here. Let's see. Supplies. That's good. More orders. Huh.
What's up?
Drops will be assigned to specific teams and tracked individually to deal with recent concerns.
That's boss talk for we're watching you because someone had their hand in the cookie jar. That's all of them.
3 supply drops. Not a lot of answers.
I believe I can help with that.
This must be the Guild District.
Home to numerous trades, magical and mundane alike. Enchanters, smiths, coopers, glass workers, you name it.
Loom gate ahead. I'll collect its key swatch. Guild members must have made good use of this one.
And if the R is with the numbers of false increment that just indicates spaces... Ah!
Got it?
Yes. I'll translate all that we have and we can discuss it with Casmin.
Good stuff, Lane. We need all the information we can get.
And valuable insight into post-surge society that developed here. I need to isolate the variables in my formula.
Do you suppose she liked it after all?
The hammer?
Yes, of course. I worry she didn't.
Your intentions were perfect, Dom. If you feel it didn't land properly, just ask her. Seriously, it was a very thoughtful gift.
I had thought so. I'm just a little surprised she didn't say thank you.
She remembered, just a little late.
An expected abnormal amount of degradation in the aftermath of the surge.
Looking over the notes from the Bastion.
Dated almost 40 years ago, contemporaneous with the surge. The enchanter who created the notes was quite junior. Most people who had actually designed arcs had died in the surge, it seems.
The best we have is a novice's musings?
The observations appear accurate, and the enchanter was careful not to draw any ill-founded conclusions. But good methodology cannot replace experience. It makes sense now that the Enclave lost control of their own constructs.
If we could help the Hearthsiders get on their feet, do you think they could regain control of the arcs?
Anyone who knew anything about the Ark's core design is long dead. A particularly innovative enchanter might have some luck with minor malfunctions, but the Arks aren't simply shut down or stumbling blindly in fields they once farmed. They've become violent, presumably even against their creators, and that won't be solved by something as simple as reapplying their grease.
There's no hope of regaining control.
With enough dedication, time, and research, anything is possible, but it won't be easy. Don't stay your blade just yet.
The arc we followed through the Veil wasn't hostile. Any new ideas on what makes it different?
One possibility is that, since we know the Ark was being smuggled out of the Enclave, its deactivation might have insulated it from the surge. Another option, according to her notes, Lucia tinkered with its governing schema. That may also have had an impact. We do know our little friend is quite resilient to magic in general. That certainly could have contributed.
The letters were untouched, but the Eye blotted out a lot of information from other documents I collected in the Bastion. Do you think the Enclave's leader was trying to hide the Ark hostility from his own people?
I'm not sure how you could hide the fact that constructs taller than a building have gone on a rampage. Still, in times of crisis, paranoid governments have tried to bury all manner of scandals. And the Enclave certainly seems paranoid.
I guess there's still a lot of arcs smashing in my future.
For the time being, at least. Unfortunate.
Yeah. If we can't use them to farm, they make great scrap.
Relegating the Enclave's premier innovation to scavenged parts isn't a victory we should be celebrating.
It's something. Well, Codebreakers, how are we feeling?
Satisfied. We have enjoyed reasonable success.
That's Lane's way of saying they crushed it.
Notes being passed between a brother and sister, quite candid, and dissatisfied. In particular with their boss, who they refer to as the Grumple.
The Grumple?
A Renlund myth, where ill-behaved children would be gathered up in a sack and tossed into the river to drown at the end of the year.
Bye.
The Grumple, yes. Renlund fables prominently featured drowning as a punishment for children. The myth has fallen out of favor in recent decades, though. Ren society is less forgiving of flights of fancy.
The Grumpole. Really?
Really.
Moving swiftly on. What else did the drop say?
Remember that ominous note about tracking individually in specific teams?
From the context provided by our hauler, we now know a significant number of Hearthsiders survived the surge.
But only just surviving. They relied on the runner-hauler teams. But supplies consistently went missing. There is also a sense that the Enclave was getting increasingly dangerous for the Scouts.
The floods, of course.
With supplies running thin, the supply teams were falling under suspicion of stealing.
This pair responded with the entirely reasonable, if exhausting, plan of overperforming.
I've done that job, Lane. Sometimes you just need to prove the ass in charge wrong.
Indeed. They collected a cache of rare items they were planning to turn in when they felt its size and value would erase any suspicion.
Do we know if they turned it in?
No, but we know what it was. Or is.
And that's where I come in.
Hey, Bryn, keep an eye on Kaz for me, okay?
You're worried about her?
The last time I saw her this strung out was during her point training. I was talking to Sola the other day. It doesn't seem like she's sleeping much.
I had no idea Casmin was training to become a point. Why didn't she?
She was supposed to be my replacement. I was training her until about 6 months before you joined. Then, out of nowhere, she stopped. She said it was because of stress, but...
You don't believe her?
I just always had this feeling that there was something she wasn't telling me.
Casmin isn't someone I'd describe as easygoing on a normal day. What exactly has you worried?
Some of the things she was asking you for, we just don't need. Or at least not in those quantities.
90 Ash Peak Drake scales did seem like a stretch.
Normally she's more deliberate in her backstocking. This feels irrational.
I thought Kashar generally sleep less than the rest of us. Is it really that concerning?
Less sleep, not none. We all need to rest sometime. When I asked Casmin about it, she mumbled something about how she'd sleep when everyone was safe. I tried to ask what she meant, but she didn't want to talk about it further.
That is concerning. I'll let you know if I notice anything. Don't worry. I'm sure Casmin will be fine.
You're probably right. Just keep your eyes open. She seems to open up to you more than the rest of us.
Do you read a lot of Scald's Tales, Kaz?
I do, as a matter of fact. When I can find a transcription. But I'll read just about anything I can get my hands on.
Any favorite storytellers?
Eloisa Farthing. She's a local writer back home. Actually, a lot of her stories are set in Dunbrennig. That's what I like about them. No matter where I am in the world, I can curl up with passages describing our rainy summers or stormy winters. And it's like I'm home.
That's beautiful. Though the weather in Dunbrennig sounds terrible.
It is. What about you? Are you much of a reader?
Can't say I am. I'd rather live the adventures myself than read about them.
I suppose that makes sense. Still, if you ever want to try getting into it, Sola, Lane, and I have something of an informal book club on the go. We can give you recommendations.
Good to know. I'm surprised Dom isn't involved in that too.
He was, but his invitation was rescinded. the three of us would like to maintain a soothing mood during our meetups. He got too excited and spilled red wine on the pages of our first read, so...
Ah, I see.
I've always wanted to build something like this.